Hello, welcome to the One Utah Service Fellowship orientation. We hope that you have gotten to learn a little bit more about our program from either our information session, one of our One Utah Service Fellowship staff members, and you've accepted a position, or from your site supervisor, campus coordinator, if you are a current college or university student. My name is Janelle Torres. I am happy to present this orientation for you. I am the program director, and we will get started. Before we get too far, I encourage you to pull out your phone. These pages will be helpful to you, either Instagram or Facebook on social media, or our One Utah Service Fellowship website during your term of service, also before your term of service. So I encourage you to get connected. If you need to, go back and pause the orientation to grab your QR for it. Additionally, you please make sure that you are either keeping notes or completing the orientation quiz as we go. One of the things that is crucial to your continuation in the program in the onboarding process is that you pass the quiz with at least 80%. This helps us know that you know the things that we've talked about here, and will give us the ability to answer any questions that come up as well. A little bit about our orientation today. We'll give you a brief introduction of the fellowship program, history of national service, and how the fellowship fits under the umbrella of national service. We'll talk about some of the benefits of the fellowship in a bit more detail and how it impacts you. We'll talk through the onboarding process overview, as well as some very specific requirements and policies that you will be responsible for. We'll talk about the monthly forms in a brief overview, although again, on our website, we provide a much more in-depth explanation on how to complete your monthly form. We'll talk just briefly about some things to know about exiting your term of service, and then we'll return to the orientation quiz. So a little bit more about the fellowship. This was enacted by Utah State Code 9-20-301. We are a program that is administered out of Utah State University. This will come up in the future when you are looking through some paperwork and it says Utah State, especially if you are a current college student and you do not go to Utah State. Keep this in mind. It is not because you go to Utah State, it is where our offices are administered from. So we are the One Utah Service Fellowship staff are considered Utah State employees, so keep that in mind. The One Utah Service Fellowship is considered non-competitive living allowance program for the majority of our members. Non-competitive for everyone, but only some of our participants receive a living allowance, and we'll talk a little bit more about that soon. Our members complete service in 3 focus areas: healthy futures, education, and capacity building. And because this is a state of Utah program, fellows can only complete their service in the state of Utah. The fellowship, as you may have been told in a previous session, has 3 goals. The first is to create a generation of civic-minded leaders with the ability to bridge divides and solve problems. We work to give you some skills and have you complete interaction and engagement that helps you get to the ability to do so. We also help Utah students graduate college on time and with less debt. And the third is to address societal challenges and help build more equitable communities across Utah. Something to talk about. The One Utah Service Fellowship looks to develop this culture of service. Being in Utah, I think many people understand that we are a volunteer-heavy state. We do a lot of helping neighbors. We do a lot of one-off volunteer service. You may have been voluntold by parents or leaders at some point to do some type of activity that is beneficial to other people. The One Utah Service Fellowship is a little bit different. When you accept your position with the fellowship, you agree to a term of service, not a traditional job. Doing service is rewarding in its own right, but with the fellowship, it does come with some extra benefits, but maybe not the ones that you think, including meeting new people, learning new skills, and having unexpected hospitality because you are reaching out into your community. Keep this in mind. Service also means you are dedicating yourself to hard work. While you are receiving a living allowance or an education award as compensation, that is not the end reason, right? You should take pride in your work here in the state of Utah. Very few people are actually willing to accept the challenge that is national service. So thank you in advance for your commitment, for working through some challenges, and getting to a brighter side. In the big picture, AmeriCorps is a network of national service programs. So the One Utah Service Fellowship is a state-supported AmeriCorps program. Overall, we complete national service, okay? So you are joining millions of other Americans across the United States who have done really amazing things. This program is built off of 30 years of national service in the state of Utah, joining more than $16 million of education awards, millions of dollars in living allowance funding. This is an amazing program. Within this programmatic structure, so as I said, the One Utah Service Fellowship is a state program with AmeriCorps funding. So AmeriCorps is the federally commissioned and funded organization. UServe Utah is the state's central coordinating body for service and volunteerism. And then so the AmeriCorps funding streams through UServe Utah, and then finally the fellowship program facilitates the actual opportunities to get connected in these long-term reoccurring services. Hopefully by now, you've been introduced to some of the benefits of service, so we won't take too long on them. But again, the Eli Siegel Education AmeriCorps Education Award, our Member Assistance Program, our member and alumni events throughout the year, and for those, if applicable, the monthly stipend. Again, the certificates of completion and optional letter of recommendation, professional networking opportunities, loan forbearance and interest payments, and the graduation regalia. A little bit more about the Eli Siegel Education Award. This can be used in many different ways, so keep that in mind. You can utilize it to repay qualified student loans, to pay for current educational expenses, or you can save it for up to 7 years. One of the things about the Eli Siegel Education Award is that it will not be dispersed directly to your bank account. This is a post-service award, so keep this in mind. This is part of that non-competitive funding. This is an award that is made available to you once you have successfully exited from your term of service. This is held by the National Service Trust. So we do, as the One Utah Service staff, do not process this award. We verify that you're eligible for it, but then it goes to the National Service Trust. So we will help you as much as we can in completing your service in order to be eligible for the award, and then verifying that you are eligible for the award. But when it comes to requesting the award for use, that is not something that we handle. So please keep that in mind. Again, the living allowance, if it is applicable to your program, you will know, hopefully you hopefully you are made aware of whether or not your program is living allowance or not before the orientation. So just keep that in mind. If this does not apply to you, we'll be really quick about this section. For those of you that it does apply to, the living allowance is not tied to hourly service. It is paid in equal disbursements. Keep in mind that if you serve any hours during a pay period, you will receive the full allowance for that pay period, except if you're exiting early for reasons other than compelling personal circumstance. Keep in mind that lump sum payments are not allowed. So you don't just throw things at you just because. And FICA and income taxes are withheld from your living allowance as indicated by how you complete the W-4. So keep that in mind. Payroll will be a part of this onboarding process if you are part of the living allowance programs. So keep that in mind as well. This payroll process is separate from the general program onboarding. All right, as part of the fellowship, you have three main responsibilities. The first is to show up and complete your term of service with the activities that are in your position description. Completing the service is huge, right? The second is that you are completing 2 tracking forms every month that we'll talk about, making sure that you're doing them on time and that you are completing them every month until you're exited from the program. And the third responsibility is to coordinate a project or event that directly benefits your site or community. And this is what we call your volunteer mobilization project. A little bit more about the volunteer mobilization project. During your term of service, this project or event is supposed to be a value add. So in addition to the type of activities that you're already doing under your position description, this project, you will recruit 5 non-AmeriCorps members to contribute at least 1 hour of service each. There is not an age requirement. You can facilitate this project on-site or off-site. We really encourage you to have communication with your site supervisor so that you can determine if there's need, if they have a project that really could be done in a small amount of time. For example, a book drive, a clothing drive, if they could really use help putting together packets of information for filing, or if there's an event that they're planning and they could use someone to fold informational pamphlets or so forth and so on. We have some great projects that include preparing like tie blankets for hospitals or dental hygiene kits, toothbrush, toothpaste, floss, etc. for homeless shelters. So there are so many projects, so many various opportunities to get other people involved, for them to learn about your site, your experience, things like that. You also have the ability to perform this volunteer mobilization project by recruiting friends, family, classmates that are non-AmeriCorps members to get involved in their community on 9/11 or MLK Days of Service. This can count as your volunteer mobilization project, and you don't have to plan it yourself. You just have to get other people involved with you. So keep this in mind as you go. We also have more resources on our website, and throughout your terms of service, you'll get some additional pokes in the right direction. Some things to keep in mind, so heading more towards the policy section, there are prohibited activities that you may not do, that you may not participate in while you are wearing anything that represents that you're an OUSF AmeriCorps member, or while you're counting hours on your towards your term. So keep in mind this is a bipartisan supported program, and these things have been identified as partisan issues in most cases. So please, you are certainly welcome to do them on your own time and while you're not wearing anything that represents that you are an OUSF AmeriCorps member. But while you are wearing something or representing yourself as any of these things, please keep this in mind. Political activities, attempting to influence legislation, conducting voter registrations, or attempting to influence voting outcomes is prohibited. Engaging in religious instruction or conducting worship services or conducting facilities devoted to religious services are prohibited. Impairing contracts or services, providing or referring abortion services, or providing direct benefit to for-profit organizations is prohibited. And advocating, organizing, engaging in protests, boycotts, or strikes, or participating in or endorsing events that would include advocacy for or against political parties, platforms, or candidates, proposed legislation, or elected officials. Keep in mind you can do this on your own time, just not while counting time towards service or wearing those items. We do have a non-duplication policy, and while as a staff, while we work to set up these partnerships and host sites, do our best to make sure that this is not an issue. Please, at any time, if you feel that you've been asked to perform services or duties that an employee should be doing, another volunteer has already been doing, and you'll take that from them. These are things that should not and cannot be done. So please let us know as soon as possible so that we can help address this. Policies that your site supervisor will enforce or should be enforcing includes that all of your service activities that are signed off on must take place within the state of Utah, that you need to be wearing something that identifies you as an OUSF AmeriCorps member, so a button, a pin, your lanyard and name tag, or other OUSF approved swag, so something with the AmeriCorps logo and so forth. That your host site will display an AmeriCorps poster. We will be sending a physical copy, but also we'll have one available to download and print. And then also, if at any time you get to be included in film or interviews or media, that you identify yourself as an AmeriCorps fellow. If you get to share about your site on social media, please make sure that you're doing it appropriately. One of the biggest benefits to the program is because we're across the state, because we are beginning to have other people recognize us, being able to have that good work shared. It helps us get the word out, it helps you get the word out for yourself and for the program in the future. All right. So those, I'm going to take a deep breath. Moving into the onboarding process. Enrolling requires a prompt and timely response. So please make sure that when we ask for your email, you give us an email that you check regularly, that you give us a correct phone number in case we need to text you, and make sure that you're actually checking those things routinely, either from we will correspond with you mostly through email, but we will also reach out in whatever way is needed. Okay. All right. The first thing to be aware of is that generally our enrollment dates are on Tuesdays. Your start date will be the first Tuesday so within 2 to 3 weeks after this orientation, unless we have given you a different start date. So keep that in mind. If you miss a Tuesday, you should be pretty sure that you will have another Tuesday upcoming. These dates are just expected. Your enrollment will depend on the completion of all the enrollment tasks and upon the clearing of the 3 background checks, so the 3-level background check. Please make sure that all of your tasks are completed at least 3 days before your anticipated start date. So on every Friday, we should be sending out hey, either you're ready to go or you still have things that you're waiting for. So keep that in mind. Also, if you've been recently married, divorced, or changed your name for any reason, please give us the name that matches your Social Security card. It will save us a lot of time. All right, with the onboarding process, you are currently in the orientation and quiz phase. Once you've passed the quiz, you will be sent to the fellowship information form to schedule your fingerprinting and complete the pre-service evaluation survey. Please note that everything in that form needs to be completed, so both need to be completed in order for us to move to the next steps. If you get through the first one and you need to come back, we're happy for you to do that, but we will send you reminders to make sure that everything is completed. We cannot move forward with the process until everything in that fellowship information form and pre-service evaluation survey have been completed. Continuing on, during the onboarding process, you will have fingerprinting and background checks, your myAmericorps.gov portal, your living allowance payroll setup if it's applicable to your service, as well as completing your position description and your IPT enrollment forms. So keep in mind this is just an overview. We will go into more details. The first set of details, your fingerprint and background check. So enrolling members must pass a 3-level background check before your enrollment date. The first is your fingerprints. The second is a federal level check, so Social Security and citizenship check, and your National Sex Offender Registry background check. These are required because you are likely going to be working with vulnerable populations, okay? So even if you have already completed fingerprints for something else recently, you are required specifically for this program to be fingerprinted with our authorized vendor, Your Unique Prints. We may have some opportunities for them to come to you and do some live scan with you as a group, or but most likely if you are not participating as a group or with a cohort, we will give you the information to schedule your fingerprints at one of their locations. Again, keep in mind automatic disqualifications are a murder conviction or anything that requires you to be on the National Sex Offender Registry. Position descriptions are to be completed with yourself, your site supervisor, and your coordinator. Might be a campus coordinator, might be a placement, just the individual placement coordinator. Keep in mind they may be the same person depending on where you're at. This position description gathers the contact information for your site supervisor. It summarizes what activities are allowed to be freely counted without additional approval, and it verifies that everyone who is signing off on forms understands the requirements and allowable activities. This position description is very important. This is a legal document, so when you are signing, you're initialing, signing, and sending it back, please keep in mind that you are agreeing to fulfill the requirements. All right, your position description will be uploaded into your term account, your IPT account. Keep in mind that you will have 2 accounts that are set up during your onboarding process. Well, 2 for most of them, 3 if you will be receiving a living allowance, so keep that in mind. You will be sent automated emails when the accounts are available to you, okay? So IPT, or Run IPT, is our state website for tracking hours and reports. If you're a college student, think of it as your school's Canvas site. This is where all of your assignments are going to be, okay? You have two enrollment forms in IPT. The first is your enrollment eligibility verification. So you will submit to us an image of your state ID, driver's license, or passport. You will verify your information, and a member of our staff will also upload the relevant information and sign off on it. The second form in your IPT account is your member service agreement. This is the shorthand agreement that is covered in the orientation, in the member handbook, and our policies and procedures. So your position description that we talked about in the previous slides will be entered into your member service agreement, and then it will be signed by your coordinator, yourself, and a member of the staff. All right. Cute little plug. Our member handbook and service agreements, or our policies and procedures, are available on our website. That is where you have access to our grievance procedures, as well as how we work through any policies related to specific offenses, including sexual harassment, a drug-free workplace, etc. Okay. The second website, the second account that you'll have access to is important for two reasons. The first is because it jumpstarts your Social Security and citizenship background check with AmeriCorps. The second reason is because this is the website that you will utilize when you are requesting your education award. So, two big reasons why this website is important. This is the AmeriCorps.gov portal. Think of this as the federal website. Think of it as like your federalstudentaid.gov website. You rarely use it. You'll use it at the beginning, you'll use it at the end, but it is very important. This is how you get your money, okay? You will receive an email with the link for the invitation to access this website. Please do not preemptively try to go and figure it out yourself, okay? If you have any problems accepting this, the invitation from your email, please let us know as soon as possible so that we can help you work through this. For those who will be receiving a living allowance stipend during their term of service, please keep in mind we will send you additional specific directions for how to set up your payroll so that you can have that direct deposited to your bank account. The addition of the living allowance requires some additional steps, including I-9, a 9-9 check, another self-disclosure, W-4 and direct deposit paperwork, and a demographics form. Okay. All right. When working through the onboarding process, I know that overview was a lot. We will send you specific information when it becomes applicable to you. So we'll send you each step as applicable and how you process this and all of that information. Okay, so don't let this overview become overwhelming. We will take you step by step. You will have access to a checklist and more specific information, okay? With that said, once onboarding is complete, you will receive an email verifying your enrollment has been completed. It'll say, "Welcome to the fellowship." Please make sure you take the time to read this email. It will have some pretty important information in it for you. Back to the responsibilities, you will be required to complete and submit the two reporting forms in your IPT account. The first is your service hour record form, so this is your timesheet. The second is your monthly progress report, okay? These monthly forms are due on the last day of the month. So for example, August forms are due on August 31st, and your forms must be submitted even if for some reason you were approved to not serve any hours that month, okay? So keep those things in mind. Halfway through the month, so about the 14th or 15th, you will receive at least one reminder email or message to make sure that you've added your hours, okay? So don't freak out, don't sign the form halfway through the month, but make sure that you're adding your hours in a consistent and regular manner. Okay. A little bit about service hour record forms. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like this. I think if it were color coded, it might be, I don't know, nicer in presentation. Again, we will go over, we will have um, additional resources to go over how to complete service hour record forms. But a general overview. So you will have the days of the month, a description of the days, a column for member development, a column for direct service, a column for fundraising, which our members do not complete fundraising activities, but other programs in the state of Utah do. So keep that in mind. And then a column for totals and a column for comments. Okay, I will show you what this form looks like in just a minute. Some things to remember about your service hour record form. You cannot count more than 60 hours in 1 week from Sunday to Saturday. You can fill out the entire month if you know what your schedule is going to be, but you cannot sign the form until the last day of service that you've claimed, okay? Do not sign this form before hours were actually served, as that is considered fraud. Make sure that after you add hours that you hit save every time so that you don't have to go back in and redo your entire form. At the end of the month, make sure that you've signed your form and go from there, okay? Keep in mind that for the focus areas, each focus area has a different number of descriptions that they can use. So make sure that you are paying attention to which focus area matches your focus area, okay? I'm going to open an example of a form. All right. So for example, you're going to log into your account. You'll see your list of forms. You'll click on your service hour record form and it'll be pretty simple. You're just going to go in and find the definition that matches the activity that you were doing. So if you're a Healthy Futures focus area, you'll be able to click health related services or client assessment and evaluation, or any of the descriptions that end in all. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you'll just go in and click the ones that you did. Again, member development training should be in the member development column. And anything else should be in the direct services column, okay? Keep that in mind. One of the things that you need to be aware of, if you have been approved to do more than 8 or 9 hours in a day, especially if you have done 12 or more hours in a day, you will be required to add an explanation for why you served more than that, than a normal amount of hours, okay? So keep that in mind. So here's a Healthy Futures example. Capacity building, so CB, capacity building, and you add your hours in the right column. Oops. For education, you've got curriculum and materials, or what's the other one? Student engagement activities, okay? So again, because there's member development, add your member development time and then add the remaining hours, okay? Again, you will sign your form at the end of the month and not before the last day of hours that you've claimed, okay? Keep that in mind. The other form that you have is your monthly progress report. We will go into your monthly progress report. You'll have section 1, whether or not you participated in specific kinds of events for the month. Section 2 is about if you served any veterans, veteran families, active duty military, or other military members. If you don't have an answer, just put 0, okay? Section 3 is your focus area reporting questions. So what you'll do, you'll select your focus area and it'll populate the questions that you need to answer. Make sure that you're reading the instructions. If a question doesn't apply to you, enter 0, okay? If it sounds like it could apply to you, you are welcome to answer it, but you don't have to. Make sure you are only selecting your focus area, okay? Section 4, the service hour narratives. This is the long form, just telling us what you did. Member development, what did you participate in? If you did a specific training, let us know what the training was. If you serve direct service, which will be most of your term, what you participated in. If you did any specific engagement events or campaigns, what that was. You should not be entering anything into the alternative activity box, so leave that blank. One thing that you need to be aware of in the Great Story section is when you are completing service, you should have something that explains what is going on, what you've done. This is a reflection section. You have various prompts here to get you started. One of the things that you have to be aware of is that the great story is must be at least 100 words, okay? So direct service, 100 words. It will not allow you to save this form until you have entered that amount of words. Okay, the section 6 is about your volunteer mobilization project. This is not a requirement for every month. You just have to have a total sum of 5 volunteers who did 5 hours total, so 1 hour each, by the end of your term of service, okay? And then once you've completed this form, you can sign it. So those are your 2 monthly forms, okay? The 2 monthly forms. Go back to the, all right. A monthly forms guide will be sent to you as a digital copy once you've been enrolled. You can ask your coordinator for a paper copy if you prefer to utilize it that way. But as well, we have various resources online depending on what your learning style is. So you have the time and opportunity to have someone explain it to you virtually. We also have various opportunities for you to get connected to a staff member or a coordinator and work with them on your monthly forms as well. Please keep in mind that participants who are late in submitting their service hours will face disciplinary action. It could be in the form of a verbal or written warning, and those who are receiving a living allowance, depending on the severity of the disciplinary action, may have their living allowance withheld until forms are completed and hours are up to date. So keep that in mind. But if there is a compelling personal reason why you can't submit your forms on time, please contact us as soon as possible so we can work with you on giving you more time or finding a solution. Right. If you need, again, more help with monthly forms, here are your available resources. If you get to a point where you realize I can't complete my hours, please let us know, and please discuss with us any mental or physical health issues or concerns that you feel will interfere with completing your hours. We have several options to assist you through your term or in pausing your term and allowing you to come back at a future date. But we cannot help you if we're not aware. So please make sure that you speak to us if something is going on. Okay. All right. When you have completed all of the requirements for your term of service, you will need to verify that all of your hours, forms, and volunteer mobilization requirements are completed. You'll fill out the end of term survey request to unlock your forms and get your exit started. Um, we will have several staff members reviewing your forms before you are able to complete this exit process. So make sure that you're aware. I recognize that it's probably a bit of a way off for most of you guys, this exit process. So don't fret. We will provide you with more instruction again when that time comes. But just so you know, that process will include a final audit and requesting any changes that need to be adjusted for correctness. And then once everything in your IPT account is complete, all of your assignments are signed off, you will be directed to certify your hours in your myAmericorps.gov account. And then once those hours are certified, your education award, again, that post-service award, should be available within 2 to 3 weeks. Okay. Again, when it comes to requesting your award, keep in mind this is processed through your institution's financial aid office or your loan servicer if you're paying on a loan. So please make sure that when you go to use your education award, you know how to use it, okay? This isn't just for universities in the state of Utah. You can use them in various other locations, but we do recognize that most of our participants end up using it at a university here in Utah, Western Governors, BYU, even some of those ones, okay? So once you've been exited from the program, again, our staff cannot assist you with your education award. You will either need to contact the National Service Hotline, the AmeriCorps hotline, to have those answered with the National Service Trust or your financial aid office. All right, we are back to the post-orientation quiz. Thank you for listening through the presentation as a recording. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us at fellowship@oneutahservice.org. Everything is spelled out. If you have any questions or concerns, other than that, we wish you well with post-orientation quiz. Keep in mind you must pass with 80%, but you can take the quiz as many times as you needed to receive a passing score, right? Just one return back to our fellowship social media pages.